What's going on everyone? Today we're going to show you how to build a NASCAR stop motion track. In this case we built the Fort Loco Motor Complex, a 3/4 mile Pocono styled oval with a road course layout. Here's a list of key items you will need for this project, from acrylic paint to plywood. Make sure to pause the video if you want to write these down for your plans if you want to. Alrighty then, let's begin the project. So step 1, laying out the racetrack. The first step is to draw out the shape of your racetrack so you have a basic idea of what to do. And this is optional, but doodle your dream track on a piece of paper so you can turn back to it like instructions later on. Also make sure your track has a firm base to it, so something like plywood so it doesn't bend when you're putting it away. Now before we begin constructing our layout, make sure to have a pencil case with pencils, rubbers and rulers. Make sure to also bring some 1/64 scale diecasts as they will become very useful later on. So first off, using a ruler, make a box shape around the outside and add curves in the corners of the box or wherever your corners are on your racetrack. Now I apologise if it doesn't look very clear on the video, hopefully you can tell, but here's an example of a box as your track should be within that area just so it doesn't overlap. Using those trusty 1/64 scale diecasts, line them up like this. If you're doing a super speedway for example, you would line up like 5 wide because obviously they'll be doing 3 or 4 wide racing, but for this motor complex, because it's a short track, we're going to have them 3 car widths wide, and that's going to be how wide the racetrack is going to be. For pinpoint accuracy in the corners, do the ruler trick, where you move the ruler along whilst marking out the inside lane, so the track width is the same in the corners as it is in the straights. This is also a good chance to add any extras to your track. So for example here, last minute, me and NRP decided to add a kink to give it more of a road course feel, rather than a quick extension to the oval. Now here's a little bit of advice. Once you finish a part of your track like right here, test move your 1/64 diecast to see if they fit well. If not, fear not, there's still time to improve it. Also, add some details to the layout once you finish marking out the track itself. So right here, me and NRP are marking out an area for curbing as well as for a potential gravel trap. If it doesn't work, don't worry, as the pencil will get covered up by the paint later on. Now it's time to mark out pit road. Start off with the straight part of pit road, then work on the corners on the pit road later on, as we found it a bit easier in that order. And like before, use a diecast if necessary, as it could help. And like with the track, mark out how wide pit road should be. Personally, I'd say too wide, as it gives you enough room to have the pit boxes as well as the road itself, and also saves room for any details behind pit wall. And for the pit boxes, make them 1 diecast car length each to make it look realistic.
Round pit line.
Chicken flag! Thanks NRP, I guess. Anyway, as NRP quickly and brilliantly demonstrated, your diecast should suit well for your brand new racetrack. And hopefully it looks similar to how you planned it out. It's now time for step 2, and that is to paint the track. So what you need to do here is mark out the track with duct tape so you can paint the exact track. And hang on a minute, what are Doritos doing on the track? NRP, are you responsible for this? We have to carry on, get these bricks off the track, we need to paint. Anyway, as I was saying, you should have masks around the track so you don't paint over the wrong area. As you see here, we are starting with the grass, as grey is stronger than green, and we'll paint over it if you make a mistake. You see the paint on the tape, that protects the unpainted area so it makes the track look neater. Now you want to give it about half an hour for it to dry, then give the grass a second coat. And of course, if you ever make a mess, just make sure to clean it up as quick as possible, then no one gets hurt. No problemo. After the second coat, leave it out to dry once again for half an hour, as it will need one more coat. However, whilst the grass dries, you could paint other areas like this, and once you're done, you can of course remove the tape. Once your grass dries from the second coat, it's time to give it its third and final layer. By this point, your track should start looking like it's coming alive. Depending on what track you're doing, it's now time to paint the curbs. When doing the iconic red and white curves, or whatever colour you choose one, and once it dries, put duct tape over it to paint the second colour in. By this point, your track really starts standing out and there's only one thing left to do for the painting, and that of course is the track itself. Now you could do black, or a mixture of black and white, however I recommend using acrylic grey, but once you pick one, stick to it, and make sure you have enough of it so you don't run out. Now to mark out the track layouts as well as the pit road layout lines, which should be roughly 2 milliliters. Once you put duct tape on this line, paint over it with white paint, which may need another coat. You see the restart zone, the track limits, the curves, the pit road and the start finish line. Painting the track is now complete, but there's still a few things left to do before we're really complete here. This part may be optional, but here's how to add a gravel trap. You will need wood adhesive glue, but unfortunately it ruins your brushes. Farewell, fallen soldier. Anyway, we need to carry on with this track, we can't mourn a cheap brush. Now what you need to do is mark out the gravel trap using some duct tape. Then paint the glue over that area, this is just so it doesn't go over the track, and now you're gonna need some sand. Then simply sprinkle the sand, which you can get at a craft store, over the glue. What should happen is the sand should stick to the glue so it doesn't fall off. After covering the area with sand, peel off the duct tape and ignore any bits of sand scattered around the track. You could brush it off later on, but you should have a shape of a real gravel trap. The only downside is that you should leave it to dry for 8 hours or overnight. Once your gravel track has dried, the next step is adding the walls. Now you will need to go on a trek to your local hardware store. This is so you can get hold of these things, which I believe are called plastic angle trims. And as usual, bring a diecast with you so you can find the one with the right size. Make sure to get some super glue as well as a notch knife. This is because with the glue you need to stick the walls down onto the track, but also the notch knife so you can cut gaps in the plastic angle trims. The real reason we're doing this is just so you can bend them in the corners without them snapping. Just for reinforcements, super glue any gaps so they stick together and glue on any cut out gaps on them like this to make sure they stick together. Now do this tactic anywhere that requires any walls, like pit road or in the infield. Once you've done this, the walls are now all complete. Your track is basically complete, however we're not done yet. For instance, we've added tyre marks using black and white paint just for a little bit of realism. We've also added catch fencing, however I did make a YouTube short about it, so the link to that video is down in the description below if you're interested. But now it's time to lacquer the track. What I mean by lacquering the track is by spraying the paint protector over it to make sure the paint doesn't chip off. After 2 hours of leaving it to dry, your track is now fully protected and is now complete. We are now going to finish the track off with some basic designs, like these GoPro stickers I found, making it look realistic to sponsorship logos over the track. What can we do with this area? Oh, I know, here's an idea. Let's dedicate this area to our good friends at Gridwalk. Hold up, you don't know who Gridwalk are? Okay, let me tell you about our good friends at Gridwalk. Gridwalk is the official place to buy your NASCAR diecast, whether 1/64 scaled or 1/24. Right now, you can pre-order brand new 2024 NASCAR diecast as well as brand new ones out now. Gridwalk also have the largest selection of NASCAR diecast in the UK. The website is also easy to access, which is incredible. Choose your scale number, choose your NASCAR series, then voila! Then let the endless scrolling begin. Gridwalk also allow fast, reliable delivery, so your diecasts always arrive on time. Some of the diecasts you will see in the stop motions I make are from Gridwalk themselves, so a huge thank you to our good friends at Gridwalk. I put the link in the description down below, and what are you guys waiting for? Head on over to www.gridwalk.co.uk, and a big thank you to our good friends at Gridwalk. And just like that, that's how you make a NASCAR stop motion racetrack. Just after we completed the track, me and NRP got hold of some 164 tyres, so we decided to try and make a tyre barrier for the gravel trap. This requires a visit from our trusty friend the Super Glue, where you will need to glue the end of the gravel trap near the wall, and one by one place the tyres into the glue. However, we found a quicker and easier method of gluing the tyres together before gluing them down. And just like that, the tyres are now glued together and the NASCAR stop motion track is ready for some action. What a journey it has been, and I'm actually looking forward to seeing what it looks like when a car goes into the gravel trap and onto the tyres. This is going to be so much fun to make stop motions on. Expect a lot of anticipation in the future for stop motions at this track. I'm looking forward to it. What's happening, guys? NASCAR Gamer here, and thank you all so much for making it through to the end of today's video. I hope this video comes out in handy for you guys, as like with last year's Broadstairs Speedway video, this was made as a tutorial on how to make a stop motion track with a road course layout. A huge shout out to Kraken Racing 818 for naming the track as Fort Loco, a name which you guys will hear about for a long time. And that will wrap up another video, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you guys so much for watching through to the end of today's video. This has been a really exciting adventure, and if you enjoyed today's video, I'd appreciate it if you leave a like and subscribe, as it always helps out with the channel, and I'll see you all in the next video.